Hey everyone, Matt Pisarcik from RazorEmporium.com. Today, to continue our series on the Razor Archive videos, moving down the line in Gillette history to the new. That's it. The new. Period. Not new improved, not new deluxe, new. This was a period of time that started for Gillette executives in 1929. They started thinking of what the next evolution of razors was going to be. And again, it goes back to blades. Always blades. And this is no different period of time. They were up against a rock and a hard place. They had to figure out how to get away from this three-hole design of the blades for the old type and the new improved era and do something different. Lucky for them, they won a lawsuit in the 20s that allowed them to have a long slit design to stabilize the blade. And that is exactly what the new is all about, this long slit. There were 6 other points that they brought up, including these reinforced corners, the cutouts on the blade actually have the little notches in the corner, having rust-resistant blades, the guard actually having these different, it comes out, then comes down. These teeth here have a different guard shape. It was a point that they talked about. The square ends on a blade, you think of today, the double-edged blade having these big square ends you can grab the blade by. That was a new thing. The blades in the 20s were rounded, and then the 10s were rounded on the ends. Reinforced corners, cutout corners, rust-resisting blades, the new shape of the teeth, the square blade ends, and the long lather, or this long channel here. Okay, all that being said, what was it really about though? What's the dirt here? Tell me the real story, Matt. I know I heard you say it, so I will tell you. The real story is Howard Gazeman of the Valet Autostrop Company had been rocking these single-edge razors for a long time, and he wanted to get into the double-edge game. And he approached Gillette many times during the 20s and said, hey, listen to me. I've got a cool design. You should do it. You can buy it off me. I got a design for a double-edged blade that's going to have holes and a lather slot and combinations of holes and a lather slot that'll lock out your competitors. Well, Gillette thought it was kind of silly, and they didn't really listen to him. So he did his own thing, and he came out with Proback. Now, funny enough, this is the name Proback comes from, it sounds like Kodak, doesn't it? Kodak, Proback? Well, it's funny because Howard Gazeman is the guy who invented, for Kodak, Eastman Kodak Company, he invented the little timestamp on your film. So if you ever had film and a little date in the corner, you can thank him. He took this idea and he ran with it. And he made his own Proback line of razors. And that's something like this here. Maybe you've seen Proback, maybe you've heard of Proback. You can even say, gosh, it looks so much like a Gillette bar handle razor. It looks just like this, kind of a similar pattern. Well, it was. These were being made, and the magic of the Proback razor was these little tabs. There was a total of 9 or 10 different variations of this little pattern here, different shapes, and then blades that corresponded with them that would allow you to use a blade that would have this long slot like the new blade from Gillette or the Proback blades, but you couldn't use the 3-hole. You can imagine if you had a 3-hole blade and you tried putting it on here, it wouldn't work. The new Gillette blades in this era, then the green packaging, had that long slit, and that is actually what got Gillette into some serious trouble. Howard Gazeman had filed this patent of having these patterns. He'd filed that, and Gillette had got their hands on kind of covertly what he was up to, and there was some corporate espionage happening, and Gillette then said, well, we'll just have a blade that can accommodate that too. We'll have a blade that has this long slit on it, and then it can work the same way. Well, when Gillette released this line of razors, they said patent pending. They didn't realize that he'd already filed the patent, and he was, in fact, awarded it right after this line was released. And that proved to be a disastrous step for Gillette, and it ended up with a merger of the two companies in 1931. And the chairman of the board became Howard Gazeman. He became chairman of Gillette Safety Razor Company. So in effect, Autostrop acquired Gillette, not the other way around. Little known fact. But let's go back to the models, because that's all history. These are the dollar models, as I call them. These were razor models. They were sold for $1. There were several of them. I have my book here. You guys think I remember everything. I can remember a lot, but I reference books. Like this is the Gillette Collector's Handbook I'm referencing right now. We have this available online for download. There's the Windsor set, the Regent, the Berkshire, the Federal, different specials. But those are all Razor models that, again, had pretty much the same razor inside, and then just had different cases. So we kind of know this from the past. We know that they did this during the new improved era, and it worked. It also created 2 tiers, once again. We had the dollar models, the $5 models with the new deluxe sets. And a lot of it just had to do with the presentation. There was some quality, difference in terms of how it was machined. But these are definitely the ones you see the most of. These razors were on the market starting in 1930, and they went all the way to about 1940, 1941. We don't think about that. You don't think that this is in the same era as a Gillette Aristocrat, but it is. They still pump these things out. They didn't do the deluxe models so much, but they did a lot of these common bar handle razors. That's what we call this pattern here, is the bar handle. So to me, it always looks like a barbell, like you're lifting weights and you're crunching this over here. But that is the bar handle, new. And they had 2 different variations of the guard. They had a short comb, and that's like this guy. You can see the comb on that, and this is the long comb. And you can see the comb on this is a lot longer and comes and points down. And so they are going to give a little different shave. But these are the 2 main versions. You're going to see the short comb and the long comb Gillette razors from the new era. There's a couple interesting, little pieces of history in here. Like they use that name Bostonian once again. So some of the times they had new names like the Federal. Other times they just regurgitate another name. This is the new Bostonian. And the only reason it would be called the new Bostonian is because it's put into this case. The moment it's in this case, it's a new Bostonian. If it's just out of the case, it's just a long comb new. So again, the case is what creates the class or the name of the razor, not necessarily the razor itself having a distinct feature. They had other promotions they were trying to push. So these were $1. Then they threw this out of nowhere. This is a 59-cent special, the red and black special. A lot of guys have come across these because they were sold so well, so highly. 59-cent razor. So if you find one of these in the wild, if you just find the razor, I would say these guys are extremely common. I would give them, 1, you can find it at a thrift store. 5, it belongs in a museum. I'm going to give this more of that 1, 1.5, 2. Now, the plating condition can vary. I have one over here that's pretty poor condition, relatively speaking. It's all scratched up to gold. This one's a lot nicer over here. So certainly the condition can, move it up a little bit. But they're extremely common. They were made for a decade, and they were the cheapest model on the market. So I wouldn't give them a 5 in any means. Now, if you find one that has a presentation case, especially some specific presentation models, like this one's a really hard to find one. This was from 1933, the Chicago World's Fair. It's the exhibition model. Now, this is a little more harder to find. Maybe it's 3.5, 4, 4.5 out of 5. But if you just find the razor on its own, not very common. Really, the presentation case is going to make all the difference. In fact, for me, as a collector, I even have just some of the boxes. Like this is an empty box for a Regent, and I just think the box alone is hard to find. So certainly if you have the other components, you can bump up, or even like the red and black special. I don't think I've seen many other of these red and black special boxes out there. The set alone, I've seen these many times at antique stores, so not very hard to find, but the box, very hard to find. People were probably burning this for warmth during the Great Depression. That's why a lot of these boxes are gone. And again, they were trying to get you to use the blades. They were like, okay, well, we'll give you a razor as long as you can keep on buying blades from us. We're happy. And that was a very important thing. Remember, this came out during the Great Depression. This came out, the Great Depression was on October 1929. And here we are, 30, 31, all the way up to 40. People were not making much money. A loaf of bread cost 12 cents, and you're over here spending $1 on a razor. So buying a 59-cent was much more attractive than $1 or even $5 in that time period. But bottom line, you're going to be a customer for the blades. And that's where the money was really at, was the blades. So that is kind of a short synopsis of the Gillette New. If you found one in the wild and if you have a question, let us know. Do you own one of these? Do you like the way it shaves? Leave a comment. And if you do, you are entered into win this, the Razor Emporium Black and Blue t-shirt. We're happy to ship one out to a lucky winner. and we'll pick that here soon. If you have any other questions, please let us know. We're here for you guys, the wet shaving community, and thank you so much for watching Razor Emporium YouTube for all things vintage shaving.